UFC Fight Night Adesanya vs. Imavov takes place this weekend, and today I'm going to give you my predictions and breakdown for every fight on the card, early prelims, and main card, giving you my picks and who I think is going to win. I am not liable for your money loss or gain. I have my record on the screen from the first card of the year. Started off not amazing, barely positive. 311 was full of upsets, what can I say? But we're going to jump into this, and the first fight on the early prelims is, bear with me, Hamdi Abdulwahab versus Jamal Pogues. Jamal Pogues is a favorite in this fight from what I've seen. I'm going Hamdi. I think he's going to knock out Pogues in the second round. It's Hamdi's debut in the UFC. He's 5-0 with 5 finishes, I believe, or maybe 4 finishes. I think he's going to knock this fool out. Jamal Pogues is decent, 11-4. He's got more experience. He's been in the UFC, but I think Hamdi's going to get this one done pretty early, first or second round knockout. Then we have Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. I'm picking Bogdan Grad to get this one done in the first round by finish. Lucas Alexander has been finished in his career multiple times, and I don't think that's going to change here. I think Bogdan Grad's going to be a little bit too much for him. We have a lot of very hard picks on this card, but my gut was telling me Bogdan Grad, and just based off of recent fights and performances, I'm going with Grad. Then we have a really interesting fight, Jasmine Jusidovicius versus Mayra Bueno Silva. I'm usually very 50-50 on women's fights. It's always a toss-up with women's MMA. I know Jasmine is on a bit of a roll right now, and she's also the favorite to win this, but I'm going to pick Mayra Bueno Silva. I kind of like what I've seen out of her, even in her last fight that got called off to a doctor stoppage. I think she was doing really well. She just got really unlucky with that brutal cut. I'm going to go with my gut, which was telling me Mayra's unfortunately going to win this. She is still younger than Jasmine Jusidovicius, which is crazy, but I'm going with Mayra Bueno Silva to get this one done by a decision, probably 29-28, maybe a split decision. Then we have Fares Ziham versus Mike Davis. Mike Davis is the favorite. I like what I've seen out of Fares Ziham. I think he's going to finish Mike Davis in this fight, and it's going to be a little bit of an upset. I'm going with a TKO in the third round. I really like his finish over Matt Frevola. That's a very credible win. And I know Mike Davis is pretty good, but I'm going with Ziham to get this one done. I could see him getting a good combo up against the cage. I don't think he'll score anything like that knee against Frevola, but I do think he's going to be able to rock Davis against the cage, land some big shots, and get an early TKO early in the third round. Twitter Fingers McKinney taking on Damir Hadzovic. Shout out to my dog. She's just been walking around making noise. I apologize. Terrence McKinney's been on a pathetic streak in the UFC. This guy was supposed to be good. He's not. He spends way too much time online. He's 8 years younger. I think they're just really trying to get him a rebound fight right here. His opponent's 14-7. He's only 15-7. That's crazy. I'm picking Terrence McKinney to get a lightning fast KO in the first round, and his ego's going to get all big. He's going to be Twitter Fingers just to come back and lose 3 more fights in a row and get cut. But I am going with Terrence McKinney to get this one done. I think he's got better power, and I think the UFC is trying to get him back on track with this matchup. Headlining the prelims, we have the GOAT himself, Shamil Gaziev, taking on Thomas Peterson. This is kind of a scary matchup for Gaziev, because I like Gaziev. The whole community kind of does. Look at this man's face. You know, I'm kind of feeling the decision, but I'm going to be bold here. I'm taking Shamil Gaziev to get a TKO in round 2, and the only reason is because I feel like he's going to really have to go for a finish, otherwise he might pass out and get cardiac arrest in the third round. I'm picking Shamil. I think his experience is a little better. He's fought better competition. Losing to a guy like Rosenstrike isn't anything to be like upset about, and he's looked okay in his other fights. I think he's going to just blob max his way to the finish. On the main card, featherweight matchup, Muhammad Naimov versus Kane Ofli. Sorry, I'm really bad with pronunciation. I'm going with Naimov to get this one done by TKO in the first or second round. I think they both have great experience, like very similar experience, but I got Naimov because I think he has better finishing potential. I think he's all around kind of a better fighter. I don't know what the odds are on this fight, but for me, I'm picking Naimov to get this one done. I'm predicting a lot more finishes on this card. I usually just resort to going to decision because it's hard to predict a finish. You know, these guys train to not get finished in a fight. So I'm going to be more bold and take more finishes in this card, and that's going to continue here where I got Ikram Alaskarov defeating Andre Muniz. I'm going to pick a second round TKO, maybe a bit of an early stoppage. I think the UFC really wants Ikram to do well, and this is of course in a crowd that's going to be cheering for him. I'm picking Ikram probably to get like a brutal rock against Muniz and finish him with TKO. I think he's going to land a lot of like shots on the guard of covering up Muniz, and they're going to step in and call it off, and Ikram's going to be pushed back to that top 15 range, which I know a lot of fans aren't going to be happy about, and reasonably so. but I think Ikram's still pretty good. He lost to Robert Whittaker. It's not like he lost to anyone bad, so I still have faith in Ikram. I just don't think he's going to ever be like a champion at this point in his career. This is a really tough matchup. We have Said Nurmagomedov taking on Vinicius Oliveira. Said's going to be a favorite, and I definitely understand it, but tell me why I see Vinicius Oliveira getting a surprise KO in this fight. I think this is going to be an extremely competitive fight. I know Said's like a hype train. I know he's very good. Trust me, I know how good this guy is. Vinicius has really impressed me. He's put on a lot of good fights. We'll have to see how the grappling can hold up in this fight. But I can see a world where Vinicius Oliveira just lands a crazy knockout out of nowhere. I believe in Vinicius Oliveira. I think he's extremely good. I think he's a lot of fun. He just puts on exciting fights. And the winner of this is going to get pushed. I think the winner of this is going to start looking at top 15 matchups. I'm going Vinicius Oliveira to get an upset here in the third round. Then we have a heavyweight banger. A fight I actually called was going to happen, credit to me. Sergey Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Now, Pavlovich is on a bit of a losing streak. He's lost to Aspinall as well as Volkov. Definitely not bad losses to have. Rozenstruik's been on a bit of a resurgence. He beat Tai Tuivasa by just outclassing him. And he also beat the GOAT Shamil Gaziev. So in this fight, I don't think it's going to be very close. I think Pavlovich might be a little tentative, which is a little concerning because he's been losing fights, but I think he just needs to go back to his roots and realize who he is. I'm seeing Pavlovich getting a late first round knockout over Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik's been knocked out before by guys like Ngannou. I'd say Pavlovich hits about as hard as Ngannou, and I think he's going to get it done in this fight. First round knockout for Sergey Pavlovich. He's going to kind of bounce back here, and we'll have to see who they match him up against after that because the heavyweight division is kind of a mess right now. In the co-main event, we have a banger, great matchmaking. Sharapudin Magomedov taking on Michael Venom Page. MVP going up to middleweight. I think it's a smart move. This is a beautiful matchup of two amazing strikers. Now, Sharapudin is 15-0. He's fighting at home, basically. There's a lot of hype on him, and I actually don't know the odds. I think he was the favorite last time I looked. And if it goes to decision, like I'm predicting it to go to, I could see a world where they give it to Sharapudin even if he doesn't deserve it. But I'm thinking MVP is just going to outclass him. I think MVP is a really, really good striker. You know, he loses to guys who can take him down. We saw that with Ian Gary. He was able to control him on the ground. Sharapudin has no grappling. This is going to be all striking. There's going to be no takedowns. I think no one can really beat MVP if they're just going for a striking match. I'm serious. I think he's too quick. I think he's too talented. I'm picking MVP to win this by decision, and I don't think this will be a fraud check. MVP is not someone who you can consider a fraud check, especially in a stand-up fight. I don't even know if I'd pick Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to be MVP at this point because of how good MVP is on the feet. Might be a bold take. Maybe I'll eat my words. I'm picking MVP to get this one done, though, by a decision, probably 29-28. Probably a split decision. They might try to give it to Sharapudin, but I just see MVP outclassing him, outworking him, getting it done. And in the main event, we have Israel Adesanya taking on Nasruddin Imavov. This is actually a great matchup. I gotta give Izzy a lot of credit here. You know, he's been given like infinite title rematches, and I didn't expect him to actually take a fight against someone like Nasruddin Imavov, an up-and-comer that doesn't really have a name in the mainstream. Like, hardcore fans know who this guy is. Casuals won't really know who Nasruddin Imavov is. Imavov's super good. I think he's great on the feet. He's got decent grappling. We saw what he did against Brendan Allen. To be fair, Brendan Allen didn't even really attempt to win that fight after the first round. I know a lot of people are actually picking Imavov with this fight, and as much as I want that to happen, because I'm really not the biggest Adesanya fan, I I have two dogs, so for their sake, I'm rooting against Adesanya. But anyways, I think Izzy's actually a very underrated, stylistic fighter, you know? People call him boring, I get it, but I think he's actually kind of fun to watch. I think his fighting style, it's very safe, it's very sound. I think he looked much improved in that Dricus fight compared to the Strickland fight. I actually was really worried for Dricus in that fight. I think Izzy's still great. I think he's still got it. I don't think he'll ever win the belt again. I do think he'll be able to get the win against Nasruddin Imavov. I'm thinking a 49-46 decision for Israel Adesanya. I don't think he's going to be as just point scoring in this fight. We saw what he did against Dricus. He felt a lot more aggressive, not so scared to get hit. And I feel like if he can do that against Dricus, he's definitely going to do that against Nasruddin Imavov. And he was outpointing Dricus. I had him up in that fight before the end of the fight. I was really worried for that. For that reason, I think, someone like Dricus is levels above Nasruddin Imavov right now even. I don't think Imavov's going to try to work in his wrestling all that much either. And Izzy's got decent takedown defense. against these middleweights. And yeah, I'm going to pick Adesanya to kind of outpoint him. And I think it'll be a relatively entertaining fight with Adesanya getting a clear decision. So those are all my picks for this weekend's fights. UFC Fight Night, Adesanya, Imavov. If you agreed, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you disagreed with. I definitely like to hear that. I know I picked quite a bit of underdogs here and definitely like some surprising finishes to these fights. Trying to be more bold. Hopefully that record doesn't go negative because there's a real chance that it could. My God. If you're new here, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to try to pump out more videos and I'll see y'all later. Peace.